The expected family contribution, or the EFC, represents the dollar amount that a family is expected to pay for their child's college costs. Now, this is part of the FAFSA form, and this is a number that gets spit out to you through that FAFSA form. So today we're going to be talking about how the expected family contribution is actually changing to the Student Aid Index through the FAFSA Simplification Act. Here's what you need to know about the Student Aid Index and how it impacts financial aid. Hey guys, it's Justine with the College Investor Investing and Personal Finance for Millennials. So let's discuss why the expected family contribution is being replaced. So in the past, when you're filling out that FAFSA form, that's the free application for federal student aid, there were hundreds of questions that you had to fill out. And those questions actually helped create a formula for the expected family contribution, and it spit out a number that said we expect families to pay X amount of dollars towards their child's college costs. And what that did is it put unnecessary pressure on families to figure out how to provide this amount of money that was determined on this FAFSA form. So that can put a lot of unnecessary pressure on a family to contribute. So that's where the Student Aid Index comes into play. The Student Aid Index is pretty much the same thing as the expected family contribution. So the thinking here is that the name change will take the pressure off of families to feel solely responsible for those college costs by softening the name to something like Student Aid Index. But it's still the same thing. However, with that FAFSA Simplification Act, there's actually a couple of changes that may impact you depending on your situation. The first major change here that we saw was that the FAFSA form has now been streamlined. Instead of answering 100 plus questions, it's now being boiled down to just a few dozen questions. So it significantly cuts down on the time you spend filling out the FAFSA. Another change you might want to pay attention to is the changes to the cost of attendance. So now they are allowing for certain allowances for personal expenses if the student is part-time. There's also an allowance for a personal computer purchase no matter what enrollment status the student is. And then there's also an allowance for transportation between home, work, and school for students, and much more. Also, take special note of those families who have multiple students in college. So in the past, those particular families got special treatment, but now the Student Aid Index will not be dividing the number of college age students or students who are in college in one family into your amount that you are expected to pay. So this really could hinder those with middle to high incomes, and you may be missing out on opportunities to save. Another change is new Pell Grant eligibility. So students who have incomes between 0 up to 400% of the poverty line are eligible to receive a Pell Grant, as well as students who are incarcerated. So this is kind of a big deal. Those students will also be eligible for a Pell Grant. Another major change here is that the Student Aid Index, you could get a negative number out of this. So let's say that you are eligible for the max amount for a Pell Grant, then your Student Aid Index number is set to 0. But in some unique situations, your Student Aid Index might be a negative number, up to negative $1,500. And this can help colleges more accurately identify what students need more financial aid than others, because all of this information gets sent back to them. So will you benefit from the FAFSA Simplification Act changes and the name change from expected family contribution to the Student Aid Index? It likely depends on your unique situation. So while the name change makes it less aggressive, families and students are still being faced with high costs of tuition and college costs. There's no doubt about that. So if you are wanting more resources to help you figure out how to save and cash flow college as much as possible, be sure to check out our entire section, Saving for College tab at thecollegeinvestor.com. That's going to give you plenty of resources to help you navigate college costs.